James Tusk and Troy Francis, we're in Bogota, Colombia. We've just been running a boot camp here, actually, and this was sort of part of our course to the edge, which was to encourage guys basically to get in touch with their masculine side, to be a bit more raw, to be a little bit more masculine, a bit more savage, and just going out there and really getting stuff done. And it's actually been great, I think. I mean, Colombia's a great place to do it, isn't it?
Will it pick up the volume if we're here, or not really? Maybe if we speak loud. No, maybe not. It's a great place to do it. It was a bit of a shocker for me. I was kind of detoxing off various substances.
But that's part of being edgy, isn't it?
That's part of being edgy, yeah. Although I am going to take out the guys this week and give them a bit more attention. But you ran the show. You know, it was a lot of dude. I mean, we're talking like 20 guys somehow coordinated.
Yeah.
And we've obviously brought in a couple of extras to help us out this time around, which has been really good. Bonaparte, the sex coach, because sexual shame is obviously a massive part of this.
Yeah.
It's been good to get guys into a place where Bogota is just a very promiscuous, sexually open environment, right? So women are more likely to have sex with gringos fast.
Yeah.
And it's been great getting some of these guys out on dates and getting laid, because a lot of the, you know, if they were in the US, they just wouldn't be getting laid here.
Yeah. I mean, I think we did the online course, which is like how many weeks did we do it over now? 6 weeks we were doing?
We've spread it out, haven't we? We've still got a couple really of modules to do, which we haven't done yet.
So we spread it out over like 10 weeks, but sort of online, doing webinars online and stuff. But when we had the idea to do an actual live event for some of the students who were able to come, doing it here in Bogota seemed like a no-brainer, because, like you said, it's a very full-on sexualized sort of place. Pretty, you could say, degenerate. I mean, there's all these big clubs, people are just doing crazy shit. Plus, the women are actually very open, obviously to gringos, but to guys in general. They're very sexual, they're very sensual, they're very up for exploring and all that kind of crap. So,
and we got them loaded up on various chemicals of the night as well, which helped. People were open to party supplies, which were good, and that. But you know, it's all about letting yourself go a bit. It's living in the moment, and what we see repeatedly is a lot of these guys will come here basically to have a break from. You can come, SWR. ¿Cómo estás? Bien. ¿Cómo estás?
¿Cómo estás?
A lot of these guys will come just from a break from reality, right? They just want to kick back. They're living quite normal lives of routine. I wouldn't say quiet lives of desperation, but definitely not exciting lives. And coming to a place like this where we know the place well, obviously it's carnage, it's highly sexualized, there's alcohol, there's other things going on. It just gives them a fucking fantasy break from reality, right? And it's almost like this crazy adventure they go on. It helps reset their paradigm to, oh fuck, I don't just have to sit with my dick in my hand in the US. I can actually maybe get on a plane and relocate for a few months and go somewhere cool, you know, and there's no big deal with that.
And it's also about breaking open their reality, about
to show what's possible.
To show what's possible and to show some of the realities of female sexual nature as well. It's like you said, it's much easier to do it here. I mean, it's not that it's impossible to do the same stuff anywhere in the West, really, but in order to give these guys maximum exposure to what's a pretty promiscuous sort of culture, coming here was a no-brainer. Plus, you know, a lot of these girls are into partying, they're into some naughty substances, they like, you know, they're quite sort of dark-tried themselves, right? But it's like what we were saying yesterday. I mean, in my earlier days, because I was very introverted, very shy, quite serious, you know, all of those things that we're trying to teach guys not to be. And probably at base, I'm still kind of like that. I've got the remnants of that. But what happened for me was that basically, you know, I went out and did a load of partying when I was, you know, in my university days, and after that, kind of blew everything open, and it really changed my personality. And I went from being that very introverted, shy kind of dude to
the missus.
Yeah. Oh shit, man. Yeah, you know, happy life, happy wife. So I had to undergo really a almost complete personal transformation in order to start getting some success with that, and it's not easy to do.
What kickstarted that was just you going to a new environment and taking a boatload of substances.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a difficult one, because obviously, you know, I mean, we're not necessarily advocating that. I mean, there's probably more healthy ways. Well, we can't. Maybe we are advocating. I don't know. I
absolutely would advocate that. I'd advocate going to a place where we know, because we've travelled extensively, where the women are very receptive to men from overseas, and you know, particularly Bogota as opposed to somewhere like Cartagena and Medellin, you don't get many Americans, right? So it's you have literally more bang for your buck. You have more. You walk into a place, you open a girl, and she's like, "Oh my god, are you from UK? Oh my god, are you from Australia? Oh my god, are you from Germany?" Suddenly, like, you're a shiny object, right? So it's basic market sexual market economics plus going to a place, with us where we know the parties, we know the best place to go, and we just charge around like fucking lunatics, essentially. And I think it is needed actually as a kickstart.
Well, the travelling side of things, 100%. The drug side of things, obviously, proceed with caution, viewers. But
Yeah,
I mean,
no pressure to do it.
But
if you happen to be in Colombia, hit me up. I can.
but the sad truth is, or the reality is, actually for me, it was sort of beneficial because you've got to somehow, if you're one of those guys, you're very logical, you're very analytical, you're quite sort of in your head, you're quite serious, you're quite self-conscious. You've got to find a way to break out of that.
Yes.
And I mean, the shortcut for me was actually getting fucked up a lot. Now, again, obviously proceed with caution. We're not necessarily, no pressure to do that. We're not necessarily recommending it. But there needs to be some sort of paradigm shift for the personality, doesn't there? Otherwise, you can learn all the best day game lines in the world. You can watch a million videos, but you're still your vibe is just not going to change, and that's the problem.
I think on a micro level, the going to a place like this and having a cool group of guys charge around. I mean, there's been some real camaraderie here between the guys as well. A lot of these guys hadn't met each other before, but they're all getting on really well and kind of supporting each other and winging each other and all this stuff, and having a good time together, right?
Yeah.
You realise actually a lot of the thing, when you get to the age of 30 and over, a lot of your original friends have settled down.
Yeah.
You need a new band of brothers to meet up with, so that the guys all have that in common. They watch our content, they, for whatever reason, God knows why, resonate with it, and they're willing to, they want to go and experience and have fun, and they're single and kick back, and so there's that like-mindedness about all of these guys. I think on a micro level, coming to a place like this and breaking out your standard box is a very good thing to do. And by the way, if you do want to join us, we're going to run a version that we've just run in Bogota, complete Anything Goes party. It's going to be in Cali, Colombia, 27th of December till the 31st of December. They run the biggest salsa, not the sauce, but the dance festival in Colombia that time. It's called Feria de Cali, and all the hottest girls from all around Colombia come down and party in Cali during those days. It's sick. I've been before. Cali, what's it like as a place? Again, Cali, Colombia we're talking about, not San Diego or LA or whatever. It's a lot cheaper than Bogota. It's super cheap. The people there are known to be the most friendly in Colombia, and I can verify I've been. The women are extremely hot and very open.
Yeah.
And the weather's amazing. So it's going to be amazing. If you'd like to jump in for that, we're going to take around 10 dudes. There's going to be around 4 coaches. Dates 26th of December to the 31st. And there's going to be 2 or 3 hours coaching for day game and night game. And the price for that will be £2,797. First come, first serve on that. Please get in touch, Troy at realtroyfinance.com or info@jamestusk.com, and include your WhatsApp number. Sorry.
Yeah, so that's if you're watching this and you're sort of thinking, well, I need to make a change, that is an ideal way to do that.
Wild because it's going to be an extrapolated version of what we've done in Bogota, but Cali is even more crazy, and we're going around an event, and it's fucking wild. I've been before, it's amazing.
Plus, New Year, it's fiesta time, holiday time, right?
Yeah,
so
biggest party in Colombia is in December. January's quiet, but December is crazy.
Yeah.
I was just going to say the other 2 things that we've really noticed here, which are very applicable to eyes and what we've been banging on about in the Edge, and guys should get in touch if they want to discuss this further, is getting your hormones sorted. So male hormone optimization. Why is it so important? Because testosterone is the lifeblood of masculinity, and if you're lacking that testosterone, if you're lacking that juice running through your veins, literally and metaphorically, you're essentially not going to polarize. Most masculine men, what do they want? They want the polar opposite, a very feminine, sweet girl. How do you get that? By being the opposite, right? Opposites attract, right? Yeah. You want a very sweet feminine girl, you become a very jacked up masculine dude. It's that simple.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. And I mean, we've talked about this already, but there is currently a war on masculinity, right? I mean, masculinity.
In the Anglosphere, at least.
Yeah, exactly. Masculinity is being suppressed, and that is to the detriment of a lot of guys that we work with, because it's not necessarily they've got it in them, right, but it's been suppressed. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, I don't want to get too political about it because at the end of the day, if you make it too kind of ranty and ravey, you get cancelled. So,
yeah.
In fact, cut that out. Renee, if you're anything, cut that bit out. Speaking in terms of generalisation, I think, especially from where we're from, we call it the Anglosphere. The US, the Canadas, the Australias, the United Kingdoms. To be a dude in your 30s and 40s and wanting to date and just have a bit of fun, that seems to be heavily criticised, right? That seems to be a stigma attached to that, as in kind of judgmental. You shouldn't be doing that. The finger wagging. I'd say fuck that. I'd say do what you fucking want to do. If you're a single guy, you want to travel around, have fun. Your 30s and your 40s are the best time you're ever going to have to do that.
Yeah.
We have people like myself and Troy traveling the globe, helping guys learn to meet people in different environments, right? Meet girls in a coffee shop or on the street or in a bar, in a restaurant, in a cafe. There has never been a greater time in history to do this. It's never been easier to travel. It's never been easier to work remote. And it's never been easier to basically just leapfrog from one place to another. And we talked earlier about sexual market economics, but if you put yourself as a decent-looking American dude with a good salary in somewhere like Bogota or Cali or Buenos Aires, right, you can do serious damage in terms of dating because your value is up here compared to the average dude, and you're the shiny foreign object guy, right? So, yeah, I think it's a no-brainer. It's so obvious in hindsight now we've started living this life, or we've been living it for a while. If I knew what I knew now, I would have left the UK at the age of 20, probably.
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, there's absolutely no point to be trying to slog it out in the trenches somewhere in the UK. Yeah, exactly.
We've talked about this before. You don't get any brownie points going to a very competitive place like Mykonos, walking into Scorpios, paying $32 a beer, competing with billionaires for an average to go. You don't get some brownie point tick on that. And there's a lot of purists online that watch our stuff who are like, oh, get back to London, Tusk. You can't leave. It's cheating if you leave. It's like, who are you? And what planet are you living on where you think someone's actually marking up, like giving you points for approaching in tough environments? I've said it before, but I'd much rather play the system. The sexual market is the most ruthless market on earth, right? It's evolution, right? It's ruthless. Why would you not want to make that easier? Why would you not want to cut corners? Why wouldn't you want to play that on cheat mode and win that game, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'd much prefer to be a big fish in a small pond than a tiny fish in a massive pond.
Yeah, I mean, in saying that, obviously all of this stuff is transferable. So if you live in London or you live in New York or whatever, and you came out to Cali with us and you picked up those skills, you're still going to be able to take those back, and you're still going to be able to make it work, you know, to an extent in those big cities, in those Anglosphere environments. It's not like it's completely dead. It's just that, like you said, you just get a lot more bang for your buck when you come here. I mean, I was dealing with a girl yesterday who's, you know, I would say very, very attractive. Could I get that same girl in London? Possibly, but it will be a lot harder. There'll be a lot more competition, much more likely to flake, etc., etc. So it's just a no-brainer to go to somewhere where your value is higher.
I can't understand why guys. Maybe it's just lack of understanding that, or a bit of a fear of the unknown. But if guys understand this information we're talking about, I don't understand why more men are not doing it. Yeah, I just don't know.
And the way you can do it,
it's
I mean,
fine if people don't want to.
Yeah, exactly. And it's fine. I mean, look, if you've got a full-time job, you know, you're tied to a certain place for some reason, that's okay. But what you can do is you can travel. You could go on, you know, 3 or 4 trips a year. Like once a quarter, you could go on a trip, spend a couple of weeks down here, and then you go back. You know, that's another way to organise it. So it's not necessarily you have to ride just jacking your job and become a digital nomad immediately.
Although that being said,
just do that. That would be better.
It's the easiest time ever to do that. And look, a lot of the guys we work with, they're all kind of logical thinkers. They are doing the kind of stacking up the IT jobs, you know, and all that sort of thing. You can absolutely do that remotely. Why wouldn't you do that remotely, in my opinion?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I mean, I'm going to New York tomorrow actually, and you know, I'm going to spend a bit of time there. And I do love New York as a city, and there are a lot of dating options there for sure. But it's not playing on easy mode, you know. I mean because
I've actually never been, but I'd imagine that's quite a tough place to date.
I think it is. I mean, I've got some sort of natural advantage because of the English accent. I think that plays into it a little bit. You know, you can.
Englishman in New York.
Yeah. Yeah, you can play into that a little bit, so I have some value. I mean, the great thing about New York specifically is because just the population is so massive, and there's a lot of international women there as well. It's not all these, you know, like ball-breaking American corporate lawyers. I mean, there's plenty of...
Do they, unfortunately, like, you know, because I imagine there's quite a few Ukrainians there. Do you think after a couple of years they kind of get broken into their masculine?
Oh, yeah, no, for sure, I think they do. But I mean, where I was staying in Soho, there was a lot of younger, very cute women walking around and very sweet, you know, many of them Europeans or Ukrainian or, well, they're Europeans, but or from Latin America or whatever, right? So there's definitely a lot of opportunities there. But in the end, you know, you come here and it's night and day, just in terms of...
to be there? Because I know New York's a very, very expensive place to stay, right, accommodation-wise and stuff. How do you think they can afford...
I genuinely don't know.
Are they sugar babies, or...?
Probably, yeah.
Good.
Probably. It's really interesting, actually, talking to people like Pearl. There's so many stats now in terms of how many women are doing quasi-sex work. You know, if you put it all together...
Would you put OnlyFans as in that category?
Yeah, so
99% of the world's population.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Why are we not on it?
So basically, like OnlyFans, probably some girls just doing stuff through
Like
Instagram.
arrangement apps.
And then I think the arrangement apps, I reckon they're bigger than we know. I reckon there's a lot of girls with arrangements. Either they're going through the arrangement apps or they're just doing it via Instagram. You know, like they're putting up cute photos and then people are hitting them up.
I had it a couple of times in Ukraine when I was there, and it was like I didn't actually end up paying in the end. You always pay in some format, time or money. I didn't financially pay, but a couple of girls like cold approached and dated just before they came to meet me at the hotel. They're like, "What are you going to give me?" So
Really?
it's just a different, it's kind of just it's a very un-Anglosphere way of thinking, but it's probably how history has played out for millennia, which is the man is the kind of the financial provider. You get to fuck me, I'm the hot girl, but what are you going to give me, right?
Yeah,
It's fair enough.
And it's
if I was a hot girl, I'd be like, yeah, I'd be asking.
if I was a hot girl, I'd be on all these things. I'd be on OnlyFans. I'd be on. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Why not? But I mean, I don't blame them. I mean, people get angry about this stuff, but I don't blame women for taking these opportunities, right?
If you knew, and there's 99% men watching this, but if you were, if we picture ourselves as a hot 18-year-old girl, and you've got let's be honest, your shelf life between you're maximising your value until it diminishes, because it's based on fertility cues, evolutionary biology, gasp, right? How a girl works, her age. If you knew you had a 10-year window and that's all you have forever, why the fuck wouldn't you try and maximise it, make a load of money? I fucking would. I don't see any harm in that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's perfectly reasonable.
Exactly. Yeah,
If you're watching, it's perfectly reasonable if you're charging.
Get on OnlyFans.
If it's perfectly reasonable if you're charging them money to either look at you or touch you. I think it's perfectly reasonable.
I don't have a problem with it at all, and guys do have a problem with it, which is why
Shame.
this is why Fresh and Fit, people like that, a lot of the girls that get on, they'll be like OnlyFans models, and the guys are like, oh, that they put 304 for hoe because it's what. So they're like, oh, these 304s, and all that, and it's like, well, for a start, I don't entirely buy into that anyway. But secondly, you've got to just accept reality as it is.
Yeah.
All right, and the reality is there is a lot of sugar dating going on. There is a lot of money being changed hands now. But then, in saying that, then guys get this idea, oh well, it's all about money then, and that's not true either, is it?
I think it's all about some value exchange at the end of the day. And let's be honest, that's just how markets work, and the sexual market is a market. There has to be value exchange in some format. Whether the guy, women look at men as success objects, we look at women as sex objects without the crudity part, being crude about it. There's got to be some exchange there. It's just how the market works, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think when guys
But the issue we've got, right? So we come from kind of the old school generation. We grew up with the Crows and the Toreros and the day games. But I can't speak for Torero. Maybe you can. But I know some of the original not Northern, but some of the original day game crew. Having still been in touch with them now, they're quite puritanical about this stuff, and there's kind of a weird purity about it. Has to be a girl from the street that you've picked up via cold approach. You've stacked 30 minutes in a row. You've done all this teasing, comparing to animals. If you source women through any other means, it's cheating or it doesn't count.
Yeah.
And it's this weird kind of defensive day game that people have got going on. And now let's be honest, like a lot of the content we produce is day game based. We think it's great for developing yourself as a guy, building that social freedom muscle, building those social intelligence muscles. It's the best way you can do it, is interacting with human beings, right? Becoming becoming, as Robert Glover puts it, a social animal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's stupid not to also digitally leverage yourself.
Yeah.
And you're going to kind of come into contact with women in certain countries, especially if you travel with us, where they have absolutely no shame in asking to do for money.
Yeah.
For sex, right? And the problem is, what happens is it's painted very black and white. Guys will go, oh my God. So basically what you're doing is you're walking to the equivalent of Amsterdam brothels, 20 minutes on the clock, girl with 1,000 cocks staying, no connection. We're not talking about that. There's many nuances in between.
Yeah.
And if you want to have this conversation with us, because obviously if we go on about it too much, it's going to offend people, then get in touch, send us email, info@jamestusk.com or troy@realtroyfinance.com. We'll explain what we mean, but as a way to symbiotically increase your opportunities whilst making cold approach your maximal thing, grey area dating as we call it, and other means, slightly devil's horns means of doing things it makes a night and day difference to your dating success. I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's women. there's women that I've met here and elsewhere that I probably just wouldn't have come into contact with any, if I hadn't have used like the apps, if I hadn't been online, because it's all very well to be like, I'm a day game purist, so I'm going to go to the mall for 5 hours a day. But some of these girls are just not out.
But also the irony is, right, if your Krausers and your nutsacks came to Bogota and they're approaching women here, I guarantee you these same women they met in day game would have an OnlyFans account and a Seek Arrangement account, and they'll be moonlighting on that anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, it's no just because you met her in the street doesn't mean she's this. It's this Madonna whore fancy they've got going on. Doesn't mean she's some like puritanical girl just because you met her in Zara. Yeah, she still fucking shits, pisses, has sex, blows people. Right? That doesn't matter. Like,
I mean, it's for me, it's all about being realistic. It's like, okay, whether we like the playing field or not, we've got to know what the playing field is.
And live in reality. Better to be, what's the Russian proverb? Better to be slapped by the truth than kissed by a lie. Better to live in reality, and then decide, okay, you know what? I know women are doing that. I know we're in this kind of weird digital age of women like kind of not whoring themselves out online, but being, more open, the female empowerment, sexuality. I want to buy into that narrative or I don't, but don't be naive enough to just say, it doesn't exist. Don't shut it down from the base. Like, accept it exists and then decide, okay, I'm going to get involved in that.
I think as well. I mean, people will think again. People will take it to the lowest common denominator. Right, prostitution. Okay, so you're handing over your grubby, crumpled notes, and it's it's like that. But there's a lot of grey areas in this. There's a lot of girls who just like to travel. They like to go to cool places. They like to go on trips. And I mean, I've got girls I've on my Instagram. Some of whom I've dealt with. Some of whom maybe I haven't. But and they're going all over the place. They're in Europe. They're in Dubai. They're in America. Whatever, and having a great time. Now, somebody's funding that, and again, it's not necessarily, there's a sort of the guys that she's dealing with, she probably likes them, there's probably attraction there, right? She probably he's a cool guy, but he's also paying for the trip. So is that such a bad thing? And this is why we always talk about value, getting your money up, getting your, all these other aspects up, because you want there to be actual real attraction, which is the first thing. Secondly, if you've got a bit of money, but that's going to help, because let's face it, if you approach her outside Zara, and you're like the old school day gamer. You're like, hello, you look like a chipmunk. I'm
not gonna spend any money on this bitch. She's gonna buy me a McDonald's coffee. That's the mentality.
That's sort of
simping if you spend any money. It's sort of bullshit black and white thinking again.
That sort of mentality. Now, you are then competing with the guy who's saying, well, we could go for a weekend in Capri, right? And it might not be that guy's actually giving her money, but, he's like, come over, I'll get you a flight, get cool hotel. I mean, what's going to be more appealing, really? Having a coffee in Greg's with some northern day gamer with a bald head, or doing a fucking cool trip, right?
I think you've got to be thinking through the filter of what girls just want to have fun and what's the girl want. She wants to travel, she wants an adventure. Yeah. It's exciting.
Even Tristan Tate said to me, name drop, it's not money per se, but it is the experiences that you can get. Because if you could say to her, hey, listen, why don't we'll grab the Lambo. I haven't got a Lambo, by the way, but you said, right, grab the car, we'll drive across country, we'll go down to Italy for the weekend. Obviously, that's appealing. I mean, it's a no-brainer, isn't it? Obviously, that's cooler than, we could go to the View Cinema in Wood Green and and check out the matinee. I mean, you've got to be fucking realistic about this stuff. So again, it's not saying the only route here is money, because guys without money still pull, and that's fine. But you've just got to be aware of these dynamics, and
I wonder how much of the day game scene we came from was a symptom of guys in a certain position then justifying everything about the position to make it seem like that was the status quo. Like, never spend money on a girl. You can only cold approach. You've got to be wearing a leather jacket. I wonder if it's just because they were doing that, and then they try and justify the entire reality based around because that was their circumstances. Money's a DLV. No, it's not. Having money is not a demonstration of lower value, right? It means you've succeeded in the business world, which is a ruthless world succeed in.
It's just there's something just a bit backwards about men praising other men about the quality of their game. Because the end game
is stupid, and at the end of the day, again, you don't get any brownie points. I would much prefer for guys to say you have fucking terrible game, but when I find it funny, kick the bucket in about 3 days. I fuck 4,000 women. Do you think I give a fuck about the fact that I've got bad game or I've got good game? I couldn't give a monkey.
Yeah, I mean, because a lot of
not any holes. By any means. Yeah. Doesn't matter how you get the girl. Doesn't matter what the hustle is. If you're banging a hot chick that you're into and you've got a good vibe going on, may that long continue. Right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, you know, a lot of this stuff, if you look on Twitter and you've got these guys, the day game guys on Twitter, and they're comparing, and it's +1, and, you know, and they're writing down, you know, the set, and, I did this, and then I did a bounce, and I took it to the second venue, and all that.
Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, it's like, well, the only people that give a fuck are the other day gamers on there who are, yeah, good one, lad, you know, go on, mate. And then, you know, we'll get criticism from some of these people sometimes, like, oh, they're just fucking, you know.
They're passport bros.
Yeah, Tusk's a drug addict, which is obviously true.
Yeah. They're going to easy mode places. Yeah, great. So I get to have a threesome with two really hot birds that are into me. Oh, boo-hoo. Right.
But what is the outcome you actually want? Do you want to get praised by, you know, Rory XXX1 London PUA on Twitter? Or do you actually want to have a great dating life with some attractive women? And really, it should be the latter, right?
And Warren Buffett talks about this. He talks about this concept of the inner scorecard. He said that a lot of people live by an external scorecard, right? Which is like you trying to basically feel good about your life by getting external validation. At the end of the day, no one has to live in your reality apart from you. If you want to sit there, you know, not getting laid, posting on Twitter about your results, you know, about some average bird you fucked and you managed to do it for free on Oxford Street, good luck to you. But if I'm all about addiction, hedonistic experiences, and I just want to stack up that, right? And the way to do that is travel, understand that money is more time is more valuable than money. Yeah. There are many shades of grey with everything in life. Nothing's black and white thinking, and think a bit more outside the box as well. We're running this program called The Edge 3 coming up in Jan-Feb. If you want to get on the pre-sale wait list for that, send us an email, troy@troyfinance.com or info@jamestusk.com, and we'll give you a pre-sale discount. But we talk a lot about in the Edge course about thinking outside the box. People play the game too straight, and I'm not saying bend it around the back like Beckham. I'm talking about you don't get brownie points in life for sticking to rules, right? No. Rules created by people in charge in society to keep those below them suppressed, whilst those in charge are breaking the rules left, right, and centre. You don't get brownie points for sticking to the rules, right?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I mean, you could even. Well, better not mention it, but the beer bug. We know what happened now, that everyone was at home and they're wearing masks and hiding behind the sofa. And meanwhile, in Downing Street, they were all partying every night, weren't they? Boris was getting the beers in, and they had DJs, and they were having a great time. So, again, you know, if you feel you have to be a stickler for rules, then you're probably being played, right? Because the elites, or whatever you want to call it, you know, the people that they're not sticking to the rules. They're breaking the rules.
Fair and nothing more. If you look at the real top echelon of society, right, your Putins, your Trumps, do you think they're playing by any sort of rules by anyone? Fuck no. Yeah, they just create their own rules, right?
And this is kind of actually, we were talking about this in the context of the Edge, because like, what is Edge? Well, you know, broadly speaking, it's being a bit more of a bad boy. It's being not a beige, boring fucker. It's being somebody who's got that kind of glint in his eye. He's got that masculinity. He's got that sort of dominance. And part of that,
he's a man that could fight and fuck.
Yeah,
basically. If the shit hits the fan, he can fight, and the shit hit, and he wants to fuck, and he can fuck. And he's got no shame either.
Yeah, right? And part of that is, I think, part of it is also not following the rules, not bowing down to the man too much.
Creating your own rules you want to live by in life, your own value systems. Yeah, I'm not a complete scumbag. I treat people I'm friends with very well. But when it comes to women and dating, can I be ruthless? Absolutely. Do I need to be? Do I need to play the game? Yes, of course.
Yeah. But, again, to level the playing field, women are the most ruthless in the dating market.
In an evolutionary sense, they have to be, right? It's evolution, right? They have a window of time. They've got to basically have their fun and cash their chips out with a high-value dude. They have to be ruthless.
Yeah, I mean, women just...
They are the sheep. And I make this joke a lot. I translate it Spanish, but... I always say to the girl now, like after a bit of banter or when I've sat with her, I'm like, this is what you are, and she's like, what? And I'm like, a wolf in sheep's clothing, and they all love it. They're all like, no, but they all know deep down. Yeah. And it's like men that will say that, and men that understand that they are, right, and that when a girl goes, oh, he gets it, he understands, right?
Yeah.
So I'm showcasing a bit like a driving test instructor that you know looking out your rearview mirror. It's a way of showing to the girl, I get it, it's cool, and I'm happy with it, you know, I get it. You're a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Yeah, or like the old thing about, you know, you get a girl living with you, it's like bringing a baby tiger home, you know, that she's kind of cute and fluffy, but the claws are pretty sharp and the teeth are sharp, and it's, again, you know, this is just about accepting reality. But I think there's a lot of dudes out there, particularly a lot of guys we come into contact with, and they're quite straight-laced. They're probably introverted, but they're quite straight-laced. They're quite logical and analytical. Maybe a lot of you guys, maybe you work in engineering or coding or tech or development or something, which is great, which is fine. But you have to, firstly, break out of that kind of logical thinking to some extent, because logical thinking is just not really sexy for women. And secondly, you've got to be a bit more of a rogue, really. You've got to be a bit more of a rule breaker, because it's just more if she senses that on you, that's just more exciting for her, I think. If you're a bit risky, a bit unpredictable, she doesn't quite know what you're going to do next. Those are the qualities that are really attractive, rather than being, you're sitting down with your nice button-down shirt, and you're like, yes, well,
100%. And maybe this is good without kind of naming names. There was a bird I spent some time with in Mexico recently, and I said to her, I always like to do the post-mortem now of like,
why did you like me?
Why did you like me? And it was interesting what you said, but it was something along similar lines. Sorry, I'll just get it up.
Oh yeah. Excuse me? Una cafe? Americano? You want?
Sure.
Dos. James is going through his many messages. Let's have a look at mine.
Oh, let me find this. Oh yeah, here we go. So this is a bird I met, and it was quite a cool adventure for her because she was like, she was basically like, I met her, and there was instant chemistry. She was quite hot, and then spent some time with her in a Mexican city, and she came down to another Mexican city for a couple of days and kind of took her on a wild adventure. Found out that she was into basically public sex and stuff like that, so I was banging in all sorts of like random places in public, which she loved because she was like, fucking hell, it's an adventure, right? This random dude, he doesn't give a fuck. I was banging her in Zara and all these sort of things, like in Andares, that mall, the Zara in there. I took her in the fucking thing. Security came and they kicked us out. They're like, what are you doing? Just pulling my trousers up. So I said to her, look, what do you like most about, how did it make you feel? What did you like most about it? And she goes, I feel that we both have the same desire for each other. Second, when we're together, I forget the whole world. I lose my mind. It's only you and me in the moment. I also like to feel that you can do whatever you want to me and you have total control over me. I like
that's interesting, like dominance.
Yeah, complete dominance. I like that you make me feel that you want me all the time. I like the attraction we both feel, the emotions I feel, I desire, pleasure, and sometimes fear because I like being with you too much, right? And it's the interesting thing is she'd been complaining about her controlling ex-boyfriend that she cheated on after 8 years for being controlling, but birds of a feather flock together. The leopard doesn't change its spot. She now talks about the fact she loves being controlled. So it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think it's maybe it depends what the nature of the control was. Maybe it's just in a certain context.
It was insecurity control.
Yeah,
from the guy's point of view, because he was saying stuff like, "You can't go to the club with the women."
Yeah.
So she's obviously like, "Fuck, this dude's insecure, right?"
And that's ironic as well, because one of the things that gets talked about a lot on Fresh and Fit in these different shows is like, oh, you gotta tell your woman, right, you're not going to the club, take down your Instagram and all that, which is, the sort of the two-dimensional alpha male way of doing things, I guess. But the problem is that also shows a lot of neediness, doesn't it?
It shows massive insecurity.
Yeah.
I think if you're not, you've got to be prepared to walk away. But if you're not secure and you think the bird is constantly cheating on you, you're fucked from the inside out anyway, because she's going to sense that vibe, and then she's going to cheat on you anyway.
Yeah,
right? So.
But then it comes back to the fundamental thing of what is the guy actually want in the first place? If you're thinking about laying down those rules, like, oh, I'm going to tell my girl she can't go to the club, she can't go on girls' night, and she can't have an Instagram, then you're probably doing that because you want a serious monogamous relationship with her, really. Right. So then you've got to think, well, why do you want that? Why are you not just having sex with her, but maybe you're playing the field as well? And living a more because we were talking about monogamy before the camera came on, and it was a bit like, well, is monogamy even really possible anymore? And is it even desirable? You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, I'm not enamoured with the idea. I'm quite a jealous person. I'm a Scorpio. I'll blame it on the star sign, but I'm not enamoured with the idea of a girl I'm kind of emotionally into banging some other dude. I'll be honest.
Yeah,
I like the idea of a one-way open relationship.
Yeah.
Me walking around.
Yeah.
Threesomes with a bird.
Well, this is what a lot of guys want, and no, I would agree with you.
I think if you're high enough value, as a man, actually, I think a lot of women will go along with that narrative willingly, not forcefully. Like they're actually just up for it.
No, I think no. Yeah, I agree with all of that. But I suppose what I mean is more like, if you're in a casual dating situation with these girls, and she's maybe, she's banging some bloke over here, but you're never even going to know. And particularly with us, like you're travelling around.
No, I never ask.
You don't ask. You don't ask. You don't tell. Maybe. I mean, I saw this girl the other night, who I'd seen like a year ago. I mean, she's probably got a boyfriend now, for fuck's sake. I mean, or whatever. I mean, who cares? Who knows? But the point is, you've got to think about, well, what do I actually want here? If you're basically meeting these women and then you're trying to wife them up, or you're trying to sort of get into something serious with her, then obviously you're going to come into these problems of trying to control her, and then that's going to show neediness, and then you're going to be fucked. So it's a really difficult one. I suppose what I'm advocating for really is just being a degenerate bachelor and just going around banging random people until you die, which
no issue with that.
which is not for everyone, and I'm not even saying it's for me, but I do think we're living in a time of unprecedented sexual abundance, and I do think that sometimes guys will try to get themselves locked down before even really thinking about it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, why do you actually want, if you're sitting there in Kettering or something, why do you actually want a girlfriend? Why don't you leave Kettering and come and come to Bogota or whatever, or Stoke-on-Trent, and experience abundance? Because the reality is, men want variety, right? I mean, maybe not for your entire life, maybe not, we all want a special person, but it's just, I think guys, sometimes they're too keen to get themselves tied down, and the reason probably is lack of abundance.
I agree.
And just because they think
I'm just watching myself in Poland on some random thing some guy sent me. I'm not sure if it's street harassment. It's class. I don't know. Some bloke just sent it to me from in Poland, going, "You're going to be famous." I'm like, "What is this?" Ridiculous with my jean shorts. Yes, by the by, we can cut all that bollocks out. Sorry, what was the last point you made?
Well, just that I think guys are often too eager to tie themselves down too quickly, when actually we're living in this time of amazing sexual abundance.
There's a great analogy on that from the book of Pook, which is a kind of it's an interesting book. It's about one guy's complete geek to kind of supposed alpha guy, right?
Yeah.
And he says that a bird willing to fly into a cage, right, and be locked in a cage is an injured bird or a deranged bird, right? And if you think about that analogy of birds want to be free and the man is the bird,
yeah,
and it willingly flies into the cage and has the door shut, and say, that is a bird that isn't quite right. That's not a bird in its natural environment.
Yeah. But here's the thing, it's partly because I think guys have a lack of abundance, because you're living in Kettering and you're like, oh fuck, there's only 3 cute girls here, so I'm going to have to get one of them and then stay with her. But also, I think that guys are going along with the societal narrative, which is saying that's the right thing to do. And a lot of guys are taking that on at face value, but actually there's a whole world out there of opportunities and possibilities. You could be we're in a position now where we can have the most varied and prolific dating life. Really, I mean, it would have been celebrities and kings who are doing this,
They don't have the luxury of travel.
Yeah.
I mean, I can speak for us two, and we've the last few years we've travelled around, and it's often I'm so caught up in the moment, I'm just one thing to the next. But when I really think about what I've been doing for the last few years, it's been incredible in terms of the variety of people I've met, different nationalities, the experiences I've had. It was never really about the women, it was more about the travel for me. But as a side effect of that, travelling around, a guy working on his social skills, meeting people, having fun, making money, going after an adventure, of course you get a variety of women alongside, right? And it's just an amazing experience. The things you learn, the people you meet, the crazy stories you have. It's just, I wouldn't live life any differently,
Yeah.
And I'll continue to live it this way until I drop dead, to be honest.
So, the next 3 days. But if a guy's watching this and he's what we've started calling a flannel, which is a dude who's, I guess, kind of low testosterone, a little bit weedy, not very dominant, not very in his own frame, in his own masculinity. Right. Do you think that guy can transform, and what's the process for that guy to transform?
Well, I think the other thing just to touch on alongside that, which is a big thing alongside the hormones we've talked about, I think the first step really is get your hormones done. I think it's so important. The majority of men we work with over the age of 30 are low testosterone without realising it. How's that going to manifest? That's going to manifest as you're overly emotional, low sex drive, high levels of anxiety, poor levels of sleep, weight gain. So many detrimental effects. So get your hormones optimized. If you're a guy of the age of 30 who wants to date properly and wants to attract very feminine women, you have to be the polar opposite. You have to be the masculine guy. There's a yin and the yang. There's always a masculine. There's always a feminine in any sort of dating scenario, right?
Yeah.
The second part that we've really noticed, and it's been great having the sex coach along, who you're going to see a lot more of, probably on the Edge 3. We're going to be working with him closely there. And I'm sure you'll see him on Troy's channel and my channel moving forward. Mr. Bonaparte, he's been revelatory in the sense that he's really helped a lot of these dudes with a lot of sexual shame. And a lot of guys we see when it comes to dating, through nurture or through nature, through abuse, or maybe some just religious upbringing, childhood issues. It could be anything, broken family, right? We take in a lot of trauma when we're young, and it manifests as a sexual shame, or we could say low sexual confidence, low sexual self-esteem. As Bonaparte says, good sex is your birthright as a human being, right? If you have any hang-ups over picturing women naked, or talking to women about sex, or asking what they like in bed, or you've got any hang-ups about the fact that women are sexual beings, or you're a sexual being, or you think it's terrible that women bang around. You've got issues with sexual shame there, and you've got to resolve it, because what you do, you get back what you attract out in life, right? If you put out a very sexually confident fun-loving, free vibe, a bit of a Casanova, Oscar Wilde vibe. Guess what you're going to get? You're going to get loads of women who reciprocate that vibe.
Yeah.
If you put out a closed, how dare you, judgmental, sexual shamed vibe, just because that's buried into your subconscious, those are the sort of people you're going to attract in. Women with issues around sex, with issues around having fun, casual dating. That's not what you want as a guy, right? So it's so important you fix this stuff from the ground up. And Bonaparte has been amazing in helping guys with that.
So we think really we've got the keys to the kingdom here, because
These are the keys to the kingdom. It's taken us a decade of fucking around, and we know each other probably half a decade now, but it's taken us around a decade to actually figure out the two initial keys to the kingdom are sexual shame elimination, high sexual self-esteem, and hormone therapy.
Yeah.
And getting those two things sorted. And then alongside that, starting the gym, getting your fashion sorted, starting socializing. When you combine all this together, which we're teaching, you can't not improve your situation.
Plus travel as well. So when you're doing all that stuff and you're traveling, then all of a sudden it all starts to come together.
It comes together. It all opens up, and you see it actually with some of these guys who've actually worked with us on the edge, and they've listened to what we've done, and a few of them have started doing the TRT because they needed it. And they worked on the sexual shame, and now they're out here charging around with a few extracurricular substances, and they're going on dates every day and getting laid, and they're like, it's a completely new reality there.
With really hot women.
Yeah, and it's a completely new fucking reality.
Yeah. And that's the thing, because what we can offer with what we teach is a complete personal transformation, and that's basically what you need. It's what I had to have years ago. Years. Yeah, exactly. Years and years ago, I had to go through a complete personality transformation in order to break out of the inner dweeb and become more of the player character, which is what we need. And like you said, one of the key elements of that was the hormones, is getting the testosterone sorted out, plus your other hormonal levels.
Uncontrollable.
Loads of
get so many tattoos in such quick
loads of tattoos, obviously essential.
How many are you going to get, just out of interest?
How many am I going to get?
Within 5 years, is the whole corpse going to be covered, or?
I can't. I mean, obviously, I don't know, but I don't think so. I quite like the arms. I quite like the shoulder here. I think
it's also a good excuse to get in shape, isn't it? Because with ink work comes the need to actually be in shape to make it look good. So I've noticed since you've been getting tattoos, you're now basically a gym rat as well. At the same time, which works symbiotically, right? It's a good thing.
Yeah, because you know the old narcissism. I mean, you basically want to take your shirt off and you think, oh, that looks fucking cool in the mirror, So I think
just that you want to be actually taking your shirt off and not feel ashamed about it. And I know from days when I've been very out of shape, I don't really want to take my shirt off on a beach or in front of a bird because I feel a bit like I don't feel good, right? Yeah.
Do you think there's a correlation between testosterone and getting tattoos? I know it's a fairly minor point, but do you think there probably is?
I do think there is, and I think, ironically, I think there's probably. I'm just thinking it through out loud. There's probably something to do with IQ in there as well, as in
because my IQ's gone down significantly.
It could be from the trend, but we're actually, if you look at say prison populations, massive amounts of testosterone, massive amounts of big muscles, tattoos, but low IQ, well, not necessarily low EQ, but low IQ.
Yeah,
right.
I'd actually be interesting to see if there's what the effects of.
Well, Good Looking Loser talks about this, and he talks about this very, this again way ahead of its time. It was like 10 years ago. But he called it Mr. Juxtaposition, which is kind of like the guy in the suit who could be like us, the corporate guy, and we've worked for the corporate world before. But suddenly, shirt jacket comes up, sleeves go up, and suddenly you've got tattoos.
Yeah.
And it's like the kind of paradox of a person, right? And it's almost like you've got the shadow side built in. We talk about 70% good, 30% bad. It's a correlation of those two things together.
Yeah.
Almost, epitomised by the tattoo I got, which is a fallen angel, right? It's an angel with devil horns falling from heaven. So it's that balance of, and this is really what we're talking about at the edge, incorporation of your shadow side, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's what you described there, or the Good Looking Loser thing. That's what I really like. I like the fact that this is why.
You're kind of epitomising it now. You got the nice trousers on, you got the shoes, and then kind of decent slim t-shirt. But then you've got the ink work out. But we're talking quite eloquently about certain things. Yeah, hookers and cocaine.
Yeah. But I think juxtaposition is a really cool thing, and I like to incorporate these different things. So I still like to wear suits, I still like to wear nice shirts and stuff like that, but I also like the idea that you've got this kind of other side. And to the IQ thing, it'd be interesting to look into how much, whether testosterone, it does correlate. But in a way, from a sexual sense, you don't need to be like you kind of almost want to be lower IQ. You want to be more caveman, don't you?
And I think Les epitomised it where he talks about the caveman, which is a lot of us, including myself, for long periods of my life, massive amounts of rumination, projecting the future in a kind of worrying way, or worrying about the past, not being present. And actually, you don't get, intelligence is not sexy. IQ intelligence is not sexy for women. It's about emotional intelligence. Is absolutely understanding social dynamics, game, right? Understanding how to project eye contact in a certain way that can say 50 different things. This is reading a room, a social intelligence game. Essentially, emotional intelligence is incredibly attractive.
Yeah, I think, unfortunately, for all of us pseudo-intellectuals, I don't think being intellectual is really a turn-on for most women. I mean, some women do like it a bit, but
if they're really geeky, you might get a subsect of.
There's a name for it. I forget that there's a technical name for somebody who finds.
I know what it's called. It's like sapiosexual or something.
Yeah, sapiosexual. That's correct.
The brain.
Yeah. So there are women like that, but by and large, I mean, all you have to do is if you switch on reality TV in the States or even in the UK, watching like Love Island or something like this, the dudes on that, they're not Einstein. You know what I'm saying? They're not. They're dumb as fuck, most of them, but they're jack, except for Chris Williamson. But
you know what? They don't. What's really good is they don't overthink things. So they're just like, it was a bit like me before I actually started studying all the game stuff, where I was just charging around, jacked up in testosterone at 22 at uni, just drunk and high on drugs, just barrel rolling into women. And I was getting laid a lot, not because my game was awful, but I had this crazy confidence. I just didn't think about anything. I just saw, right, girl, I want to fuck her, and I just would charge in, and that was it, right? There's nothing else to it.
And that's one of the problems, in a way, with some of the old school game stuff, because you got very cerebral, very intellectualized, which is fun, which is great. We all
too technical.
Yeah. And the problem is, we all like ruminating on that stuff as well. If you're like us and other people,
right,
and I've got guys who, I'm in my group and stuff like that, and they love to ruminate on this stuff, and like, oh shit. They love to ruminate on this stuff. It's like, oh, Rollo Tomasi said this at 17.5 minutes into his last 5-hour live stream, and and all of that. And it's like, fine, it's all interesting, but it's not really going to help you get laid. Like, in a way, the more you put all that shit to one side and just go caveman, the better. And again, when you look at those guys on those reality shows, or if you go to like Ibiza, the Ibiza, or you go to like, I don't know, Zanzi or something like that, the dude's getting laid, and this is not just with troglodytes, they're getting laid also with some pretty decent girls. They're muscular, they're jacked, they're covered in tattoos, they're a bit thick, but they've got all the other stuff. They're just taking action. They're not overthinking it, and that's the problem I think for many of us, probably ourselves included. We had to get. That's really what
to break through that. I came through all the theoretical game bollocks to realise, actually, throw it all out the window, go back to basics, get jacked up, get on testosterone, get really fucking horny, eliminate sexual shame, and fucking get stuck in.
And then, listen, if you want to be the pseudo-intellectual in your spare time or whatever, that's absolutely fine.
It's fine to understand the theory behind it, and obviously we're in a position where we're teaching this. It's absolutely essential for us to understand it, quite honestly. But for the average dude, I'd say forget the theory and start just getting stuck in.
Somebody in my group earlier was saying, like, oh, because I was saying to him, I'll come to Cali, and he's like, oh, well, I haven't got the finances in place at the moment, but, And I said, well, I don't know how long we're going to be doing these live trainings for, to be honest. Yeah. I'll be dead even sooner. And so I said, and he said, oh, well, at least you can put out some more YouTube videos. It'd be great to see more day game examples, all this kind of stuff. And I was like, no, fuck videos. Yeah. Fuck videos. You've seen enough videos. You know enough theory. You've seen enough videos. It's about taking action now. And just as a little plug for coaching, the reason why coaching is so effective, like the dudes we've had this weekend who've gone through complete transformation, it's because we're here and we're fine-tuning everything they do.
Yeah.
So, but you need, at some point, you need real life exposure to this shit. It's not a sport that you play sitting in your bedroom. It's not a computer game. You have to actually get out there and get dirty.
100% agree. Mr. Bonaparte, can you join us for just 2 minutes? We'll just record some stuff quickly while we're on a roll. Let him sit, grab a chair and turn it around. Put Bonaparte
in the middle.
Yeah. And then me and you sit either side.
All right, we're going to have a Bonaparte sandwich.
A bon
Yeah, you want to put this?
Of course.
Sorry, guys.
Of course, you want me in the middle.
The meat in the middle of the stuff.
Of course, they want me in the middle.
We've got to be quick as well because his battery's low.
So we are joined by one of the seediest Frenchmen in the world. There's quite high competition for that, Mr. Mr. Bonaparte. How are you?
Really, really good. Hi, guys.
Really good.
So, in a nutshell, Mr. Bonaparte, who are you and what do you do?
So, I am the official horny French sex coach of the team, and I am helping you guys get better in sex and have the best sex of your life.
So you've joined us obviously in Bogota. We brought you along. You've been myself and Troy have been running the Edge course before, which basically takes guys from flannels to fuckboys, edging them up in different ways. You've been really helpful on that because one of the biggest things we've noticed with a lot of these guys is sexual shame, and one of the key things to one of the keys to the kingdom is elimination of sexual shame. How would you describe sexual shame to a guy watching this who's like, what does it even mean, sexual shame? How would you define that in a sentence?
It's the fact that you literally can't get a girl home because you're scared of having sex with you.
Right.
It's everything that blocks you in your life. And not just sex, it can be at work, it can be in your dating life, in your social life. But because you have so many blocks, especially from when you were young, but you don't even know it. It's almost like subconscious, you know?
Does it also come into in the initial approach and stuff though, being afraid or being
you're not willing
to put out that
male to
yeah.
female, right? It's like, what does he really want? She might even be going direct in terms of your words, but the way you're looking at her is not in a way like you want to take her, you want to undress her with your eyes, right? You want to fuck her.
Yeah.
So you can still be doing all the stuff technically correct that we're saying, but you're not putting through a sexual vibe. You're
Actually,
ashamed of it.
yeah, no, I agree. And talk about good-looking guys who still have a problem, because that's a really interesting thing. We've seen that with some of the dudes this weekend.
It's crazy. It's like, yeah, you would say, oh, all the beautiful guys, they can have all the ladies they want, but no, if they not only he is beautiful, but he has on all the women he wants. But it's to say, it's not because you're beautiful or you have money or you're very strong or whatever. If you carry sexual shame and if you're not able to be masculine, to project this masculine energy, this confidence, you're never gonna be able to get a woman home. And more importantly, you can get a woman at home, but if you're not happy with your sexuality, you're not gonna have the best sex of your life. You're gonna be scared and you're gonna be blocked and you're gonna suffer from premature ejaculation or erectile dysfunction. Like, this is sexual shame. Those are the blocks that stops you not only to have great sex, but also to approach women.
Yeah.
How many men you know that just because they think, oh, I have premature ejaculation, like I can have great relationship with women, but I stop myself to meet women and to approach women because I'm scared that I won't be enough in the bedroom.
Right, that's very true. Do you think there's also something about the smouldering look though? Because we will often talk about Daniel Craig as James Bond, and I don't know how you feel about this, but I think when you watch him in those movies, there's clearly this animalistic sexualized side to him. Now, he's not saying that. He's not being crude. It's all very sort of gentlemanly and everything like that. But under the surface, and that's
the way he's looking at the world.
Yeah, the way he's looking, the eye contact is so important. But if you're inhibited about sex, you're not going to be able to do that, are you?
And I would say, like James Tusk just said something. It's not just the look. It's how you look at the world. It's just like how you behave. How is your life? Do you love your life, or are you scared about your life? Are you scared about something? If you have a sense of freedom, it's freedom in your sexuality, it's freedom in your masculinity.
Well, we were talking earlier, I don't know, I'd be interested to get your view on this. We were talking earlier about people who are stickler for the rules, and they follow all the rules, and they try to stay in the right lane and everything like that. And we were saying, fuck the rules. You've got to be a bit more anarchic. Do you think that comes into it? Can you see you resonate with what we're saying with that?
Definitely in terms of sex, because now, like, sex is taboo. It's almost
ridiculous. It is, because you talk about this, and it's such a good point. You go, look, as a man, good sex is your birthright. And a lot of guys hear it and they go, fuck, he's right. It's the only reason I'm here. The only reason you're here is because your parents had hardcore fucking sex, right? We're born, we reproduce, we die. It's the only thing we're actually built to do. If you have hang-ups around that, or issues around that, that is something you've got to fix. And I think one of the key points to make is a lot of guys are like, shit, I've got sexual shame. Oh, I feel really bad. Look, it's a lot of it, we're very impressionable when we were young, between the age of 6 and 9. Any abuse you might have had, or any
bad experiences with women,
or family experiences, right? Your mother was away, things like that. That's gonna fuck with your head and create problems with sexual shame. So it's okay for I think one of the key points to understand is most guys we work with carry sexual shame to some degree. Some a lot more than others, but it's completely normal for most men, especially in the Anglosphere, to have, because of cultural upbringing and stuff like this, to have issues around sex. It's very easy to work with you and eliminate that. Again, there's a course coming out. How to get over sexual shame from sexual shame to sexual self-esteem in 30 days, which only costs £69. That's going to be great. But some of the work you've done with the guys here has been amazing, and I want you to talk a little bit about just the live event that you've got coming up tomorrow, what that's going to entail. No, because guys who are watching this, if you come to Cali for Feria de Cali to work with us, for this crazy big boot camp we're going to run, Mr. Bonaparte's going to be there, so it's good for you to give an eye into what's actually going on here.
So the first thing I wanted to say, to bounce back on what Tusk and Troy said, it's like every single man that I've met in my career as a sex coach was carrying some sort of sexual
course,
shame,
and
I did as well. It's like some of you guys, you can think, oh, but these guys, they're so perfect or whatever. We were all carrying sexual shame, and we managed to get not fully get rid of it, but actually to work on it
Well,
and to get
manage
better.
it, manage and improve your situation.
Yeah, you can put it behind you enough that you're effective. And actually, I mean, I think it builds on itself as well, doesn't it? Because you start to break through, and then you start to realise the sky's not falling in, and actually, on the contrary, the women are actually responding really well.
Yes.
And then you get more sexual experience, and so the whole thing is a virtuous circle.
And totally agree. And about the fact that of working on it, what Tusk was saying is that we have this event coming up, and this is the credit.
What's the name for the event? How would you call it?
It's a secret.
5 sausages in a room?
Only 4,
What's
and maybe plus 1. But this is like, this sounds crazy, but that's where real big change happen.
Well, this is a world first, as far as I'm concerned. There's no one who is working with that I know that works as an elite sex coach for men that is demoing this stuff. And obviously tomorrow in the room, you've got a very hot lady who's got a kind of eyes wide shut mask to protect her privacy, and then you've got 4 students who are on the boot camp who want to work on the sexual shame piece, and you're going to be demonstrating how to make a girl squirt, how to finger a girl, how to turn her on through kissing, all these kind of key things that guys, unless they had a very, very alpha dad who was a bit weird, are never gonna learn from sex education at school or from their family, right?
Yeah.
This is stuff that guys need to be taught from a young age that are never taught. We're doing the Lord's work here, and I'm not religious, but it is a service that needs to be done.
I do agree, and the thing is, like, we're literally, if some of you guys have been following Troy or James, it's like you're getting good at approach. Okay, you can maybe get rid of performance anxiety in terms of dating, but when the door closes when you're in the hotel room, oh shit, what do I do now?
Yeah.
I don't know what to do.
And women
so
are very perceptive. They're going to pick up on how you feel. If you carry sexual shame, if you're not feeling sexually confident, guess what she feels? Oh, this guy's a bit weird. Like, he's not, like, there's something on him.
It's really important to be confident that you know what you're doing, okay? Because it's going to influence the whole interaction with her. Like, you're sitting down on the date, you're like, oh, it's about time to pull the trigger. We're going to pull the trigger in a bit. I'm going to take her back to the room or whatever. You've got to, the more confident you are that you know the right buttons to press, no pun intended, the more smooth that's all going to go, and the more confidence. And then she's going to feel confident because it's like, oh, this guy's leading. He knows what he's doing. Yes. And if you don't, then it's going to be like, first, it's a bit awkward for her. And secondly, it's a bit like, oh, this guy's a bit of a chode,
And the crazy thing is, if you become even better in dating, it's even worse, because I had some clients who are really good at approaching women, seducing women, but then when they bring the woman at home or in the bedroom, it's almost like they were there for women, or this guy, it was so smooth, like seducing me, it must be incredible in the bedroom.
Not just that, but even on the date.
Exactly.
Even that phase, you can get very good at kind of the clown show of the 5-minute cold approach, but then when you're on the date and the shit hits the fan and it's that seductive environment, can you actually seduce the girl through your vibe?
Yeah, I mean, we know guys who have had that problem. They go in, they're getting strong attraction. They even get on dates, and then they bring the girl back to the bedroom and hola, hey,
the nicest man in Bogota.
Si, senor. But and then they're getting girls back to their apartment or the bedroom, and then for some reason it's not happening. And there's a number of things that could be going wrong there, but probably they're not bringing that sexual presence in enough during the process.
Presence and high sexual self-esteem, that's the thing, right?
And this is the most important, is that you need to show that and to carry that during the date.
It's the Tom Terrero thing, right? Of don't hide your metaphorical dick. From the second you see the girl and you put eyes to her, to the second you got your dick in her, you're not at any stage pretending that you don't want to fuck her.
Exactly.
But you're not doing the Alan Roger nutsack of shouting, I'm going to fuck you, but you're projecting in a calibrated way through your vibe and your intent that it's male to female, right? It's on and it's on.
But
it's so key.
I have to cut them.
It's so key. I can't understand.
So key.
I can't explain how key this is, though. It's so key.
But another key is you need to back it up. That's why also we do this event, is that you need to know the skills. You need to know that you're a great lover.
Yeah.
When you know you're a great lover in the bedroom, your day game and night game, it's just going to be like completely different, because you know
you've actually got the innate confidence that you can give with
exactly.
But the keys, if you want to, I mean, we're reiterating this now, but the two biggest keys to the kingdom are getting your hormones on point. Fitness, of course, getting your hormones on point. Is your testosterone decent? Oh, the rest of your hormones on point. Is there some other hormonal thing that may be affecting your testosterone level, like your sex hormone? If that's too high, that can push down on it. So you need to get all of that stuff checked. optimize as appropriate, but also you need to get this stuff sorted as well, because there are guys who are high T, but they're not necessarily down with this stuff, and they're not succeeding either. So it's those are the two keys to the kingdom: hormonal optimization and getting fucking confident with the sexual stuff. And if you can do that, your dating life will be above 99% of other guys on the planet.
And I had clients who had really, really high T, but there was so much pressure. They were putting so much pressure on themselves. Right. They were like, I don't know what I do. I go to the gym, I eat well, and my testosterone is through the roof, but I don't know what to do in the bedroom. Yeah. And so you need to have that in balance, and you have to
I think so. We've been talking a lot about testosterone over the course of the Edge and in videos this year, and it is 100% important, because it gives you first off you need the drive to actually want to do this stuff.
Yes.
That's the first thing. And if you're low T or there's some other hormonal issue, you're not going to have that drive. You just want to sit in bed and watch EastEnders or whatever. That's no good. So we need to get the drive there. But also, if you don't have the experience with this side of things, you need to get that sorted as well. And then you're firing on all cylinders.
Yeah. Totally agree, and it's a virtuous circle, because once you sort out your hormones, you have more confidence and you can get rid of erectile dysfunction. Like when you have low T's, erectile dysfunction, I can't tell you how many men are coming, I have erectile dysfunction. Did you check your hormones? No. Well, the first thing to do is actually to check your hormones, and then you get better at that, and so you get more confident, so you have better erections, so it boosts your testosterone, everything.
And then probably, you're meeting more women, you're starting to get success, and then that builds up your confidence further. So you're right, it does snowball, and we've said this before, but I think in dating, we are in this sort of rich get richer, the poor get poorer, unfortunately. And the guys who are going around smashing it, metaphorically and literally, are the guys who more women are attracted to, because women don't want to date a guy who's a virgin or a guy who's only had two sexual partners. They want a guy who knows what he's doing, who can lead. So you need to upskill yourself, and even if you don't have a huge amount of sexual experience, at least you get your hormones optimized, you learn what you're doing, and then you're going to be able to emanate that more. Then you will get the experience, and then it's going to build on itself.
Yeah. Totally
just some housekeeping. So, just what are is one of you meeting George, by the way? He's over there. Okay, you are. So we're only going for 2 more minutes. What are the key things you're going to be demonstrating in front of the guys live tomorrow with the girl?
It's going to be really the keys to go from as soon as you close the door from the hotel room or the bedroom, and you take her to the bedroom. It's literally everything through. So literally, when you think, I don't know how to kiss, you will know how to kiss. Right. I don't know how to undress a woman. You will know how to undress a woman.
I can imagine you get the bra with her teeth.
But with one hand, snap your fingers, and then how to literally, because if you've done the job right, she's already mentally, she's excited, she's aroused. Now it's how to make her physically as good as she's feeling mentally. So fingering, all the foreplays, and literally drive her crazy before you take your cock out. Because if you can make her squirt, have multiple orgasm, and make her beg you to make love to her, that's a wrap.
She's already addicted, right? And she's going to be coming back with her friends, quite frankly, for another performance. So it's,
definitely.
I think that's a key point.
Yeah, and we were talking, actually, I don't know how you feel about this, but I was talking to my friend Tiffany about this, and she was saying, if you can actually make the woman come before you even started to have sex, that's you're in a great position then, right?
My best advice is make her wet before you bring her in the bedroom. If you make her wet during the date, then that's it.
It's game on.
Yeah.
So if you'd like to replicate this experience the guys are going to have tomorrow with Bonaparte, he is available for this. Send us an email. info@JamesTarsell or Troy Francis. We are going to be running an event in December in Warsaw for those of you that can't get out of Europe. So you've got the ability to come to the live event there. There'll be 4 guys in a room, awkwardly shuffling papers, making notes with semis, pretending they're not turned on, and you're watching Bonaparte with a sexy girl, literally demoing every step of the way. There is a VIP course you can do, which is you and Bonaparte in the room with a woman in question. We record it on this camera. You have all the footage. No one else knows about it. And he is talking you through how to actually do this stuff step by step. And so you actionably learn. If you'd like the sound of either of those in Warsaw in December, get in touch. 4 spaces available for the actual group event. 2 spaces available for the VIP experience. Or if you'd prefer to meet us in Cali, Colombia for the boot camp we're going to be running, which is going to be day game and night game in Feria de Cali, this amazing city in Colombia with the hottest, most friendly women and also the best fucking weather. That's going to be running 26th of December till the 31st of December this year. Bonaparte will also be there offering the same deal. So you can sit in the room with the other dudes and watch him demoing, or you can actually learn it under his tutelage, private one-on-one experience for 4 hours. It's going to be fucking sick. I cannot wait.
Sounds great, right? When
Just,
he says it like that.
just to sum it up as well, if you can't make it live and you can't meet the man, the myth, the legend in the flesh, he is available for most of the work you actually do with guys. It's online, it's private coaching, it's group online, or it's private coaching. Again, send us an email if you'd like to hear about the opportunities there, and we'll put you in touch on WhatsApp, troy@realtroyfinance.com or info@jamestusk.com. It's been a pleasure. I can't wait to see over the next few years how much impact you're going to have actually with our clients. I'm really fucking excited, right?
But like we say, I mean, just as a final word, these are the keys to the kingdom.
They really are.
We can't stress that enough. If you get this stuff down and you get the hormonal stuff down, those are the key things you need. I mean, sod all of this early 2000s theoretical nonsense. These are the things you really need to know if you want to make real big changes in your dating life.
And it's like we have a real transformation right now in Bogota, and that's so crazy and beautiful to watch. And we want you guys to have the same. So it's going to be an amazing ride.
Yeah, well, literally and metaphorically. We'll see you in the next video.